So as we're sitting here, it's it's Thursday now, so Quest 3 launches in 5 days. And I'm already getting a really bad sense of deja vu. Last year, we were going through all the PSVR2 stuff because this is around the time that they announced the price and the expected release date. We saw the price, which is $550, and then they did a whole showcase where they went through like their flagship games, which were Horizon Call of the Mountain, Resident Evil Village's VR port, and Gran Turismo 7's VR port. And then they showed a bunch of other games and said, and a lot of those were like ports coming over from PCVR and Quest. And I was left underwhelmed because I was like, out of that whole list, there's two I want to play, Village and Call of the Mountain. And a lot of people roasted me for that and said it was going to have like the best games, and Sony was going to bring all their first party titles. They're going to bring Last of Us. They're going to bring Spider-Man. They're going to make up with Valve and bring Alex over. And it's October now, so we're about 8 months later, and none of that's really happened. To date, those three games that I named a second ago are still pretty much the best games on the console. Meanwhile, there's been letdown after letdown after letdown. Firewall Ultra let a lot of people down. Crossfire Sierra Squad let a lot of people down. Most recently, Hellsweeper. No Man's Sky launched in a bad state. They have now since fixed No Man's Sky with dynamic foveated rendering. There were a lot of disappointments, and in the course of that, one of the disappointments is Sony has not brought the first party titles to bear. Quest 3 is bundling now with Asgard's Wrath 2, which doesn't come out until December 15th. So your big reward for pre-ordering the Quest 3 is a game that you're not going to be able to play until 2 months after you've already had it. You're now seeing a bunch of developers put out stuff about, well, we're going to be doing Quest 3 enhancements. You're seeing Saints and Sinners Chapter 1 is going to get a big enhancement. Today I just saw Drop Dead Dual Strike and Hubris are going to get big Quest 3 pushes. And I'm starting to get this really bad feeling of dread in my gut of this feels like we're repeating what happened with PSVR 2. And a lot of the appeal for Quest 3 isn't going to be to play the new latest and greatest. It's going to be better looking versions of the game you've already played. Now, Meta's in a bit of a different position because one, they have mixed reality, which I'll talk about in a minute. And two, there are a bunch of games coming, but how many of those games were optimized specifically for Quest 3 versus Quest 2? Like Assassin's Creed, that game was started years ago. I have my doubts that Ubisoft had a dev kit for Quest 3 in 2021. Contrast that with something like when the PlayStation 5 came out and Horizon Forbidden West came out. The PlayStation 5 version of that game was light years better than the PlayStation 4 version of that game. And that was also a first party title that launched with that console. So we're not getting that with Quest 3. We got some first party runs with PSVR 2, but it wasn't enough. And now you're starting to see a lot of PlayStation VR2's pop up on the secondary market. Mega's big feather in their cap in terms of VR games is Asgard's Wrath, but they haven't shown what any of their other developers are doing. They're not showing what Beat Games, the guys at Beat Saber, are doing. They haven't talked about Big Box from Population 1. They haven't talked about Within. Supernatural, the workout app, is getting the inside out body tracking, but that's not coming till December. And they also lowered the subscription price of that. But we don't know what Armature's doing. We don't know what Twisted Pixel is doing. We haven't heard anything about Camouflage and the Batman game they're working on. We don't know any of this stuff. So right now it feels like the third-party vendors are carrying the load. The third-party developers are carrying the load on, here's why you should buy a Quest 3. Look how much better this game looks. And I don't blame them because they're trying to generate interest in their game and get people back into those games. But my ultimate fear is that there's going to be a massive retention problem if we don't start seeing a lot more from the gaming end of it, from the gaming VR crowd. And then there's mixed reality. It feels like Meta's like gambling big on getting more people, like volumes of people into headsets from mixed reality, kind of building off of what Apple introduced with Apple Vision Pro. That's all good and well, but if that doesn't catch on, like let's say like mixed reality just isn't something that catches on with a lot of people. Personally, I'm not too concerned with that. I don't think it's going to be like this big explosion, but it will get more people in headsets. But if it doesn't do it at the numbers that Meta was hoping, then what? I'm concerned that I feel like we're repeating history here, and we've gone through now, let's see, Pico 4, when that launched, a lot of people were excited about that. It's going to like create competition for Meta, and everyone asked where the games were. Now we're a year later, no games, no exclusives. Pico 4, no one really talks about it except as a PC VR headset, but no one talks about it in the standalone department. PSVR 2, 8 months later, people are just really getting tired of getting let down. If you go on any social media, that's a lot of what you see is, this game was a letdown, this game was a letdown, this game was a letdown. There's only so many disappointments a community can take before they start to lose interest. And if you launch Pico 4, which I'm not going to call it a dud, but it wasn't a hit. Quest Pro was a dud. PSVR 2, the jury's still out on it, but there's more negative going around than positive, it seems like. And again, we're starting to see a lot of those pop up in the secondary market. And now here comes BioVexR Elite. Was a dud, has been a dud, and now we're up on Quest 3. So we've had a string of a few not great launches, and general interest needs to be a little bit down. So now we're coming into this, and there's not that I have to have that thing that's grabbing you with it, unless you really care about mixed reality, and that's still too new for people to care about. So I'm getting a feeling deja vu. I really hope I'm wrong. I'm gonna have a Quest 3 next week. I'm gonna put it through its paces. You guys will all see me review it. I'll put out as much content as I possibly can about it, but I am very nervous.